Johnson's story with your host, Mr. Rock. Hope everyone's doing wonderful out there. Also, happy 40th anniversary to Miami Vice. So, we're going to be talking about Miami Vice and how I met Don Johnson way back in the day. I actually know two Don Johnsons. So, hopefully, this thing's working. I know I've had problems with my internet this past weekend, so. Okay, we got that. Are we live? That's the question. Because I can't. Oh, yeah, we are. Okay, so like I said, I literally have met Don Johnson. I actually know two Don Johnsons. But yeah, before we talk about Don Johnson, though, let's literally go through the TV box sets that I own. I own all of Miami Vice. So here's season one of Miami Vice. This is season two, season three, season four, and season five. So that is all the seasons of Miami Vice. Happy 40th anniversary to the show. That started almost everything. Because if it wasn't for Miami Vice, you wouldn't have games like GTA 6 coming out. Probably my GTA Vice City and everything else that literally impact Miami back in the day. Because Miami was not as great as it was before 1984. You know, it was two iconic things that happened in the 80s that literally gave Miami the boost that it needed. Scarface happened and Miami Vice. You know, so where I met Don Johnson, though, I met him on the set of Nash Bridges. My mom was on the TV show. Um, I remember going to Hollywood, going to NBC studios, and yeah, it was kind of a weird experience in a way, you know, because technically, like, I already had the Walker, Texas moment. This was literally a couple months after the Walker, Texas Ranger, I think, or maybe a year or so. Like, they were literally close to each other. I remember that. Nash Bridges and Walker were really close to each other. I can't remember which one came first and which one came after. But I do remember going to, like, the studio, um, and, like, the scene that my mom was in was technically right at the beginning of the show. She gets kidnapped in the van, and she's struggling, and then technically they kill her in a way. So they literally strangle her and everything else. They kill her in the van, and then they throw her body on the ground. And then the scene literally shows like Nash Bridges and Cheech Marlin, great guys. You know, I can't remember his character's name. That's the reason why Nash Bridges. That's why I went by his real name. But yeah, you had the two guys literally looking at my mom's dead corpse in a way, and then the whole entire investigation went from there. And yeah, meeting Don Johnson was amazing. Great guy. If you never met Don Johnson, you're missing out because that guy will literally tell you how things are in life. You know, like he'll literally actually care for you. He'll try to respect the people. I know technically he had financial problems, you know, just like everyone else. We are all human. But this guy, in my opinion, Don Johnson was pretty much a guy that was like Chuck Norris when I first met him. You know, I was kind of scared in a way, but Don Johnson literally talked me down. He literally said, "It's Hollywood, man. It's just Hollywood." You know, because yeah, like getting to see your mom actually die quite a bit in a TV show or even a movie, you know, was literally like, okay, is she dead? Is this really happening here? You know, and yeah, but yeah, like I said, I was on the set of Nash Bridges. Um, I never literally was ever on like the shows that she was in. My mom did ask me if I wanted to be in the show one time. I can't remember which one it was. It might have been Walker or it might have been Nash. But she literally asked me if I wanted to be on the show, and I said no, no, no. You know, this is not for me. Because yeah, but you know, um, but like I said, the whole entire celebration is the 40th anniversary of Miami Vice. You know, because it did debut September 16th, 1984 on NBC. I'm not sure when Nash Bridges debuted, to be honest. I'm not sure about that one, but I just remember technically like it was the 90s, anyways. And I think it lasted until like what, 01, 02 Nash Bridges? So, but yeah, I just remember my mom being in the van, um, like getting kidnapped, getting killed, had her body thrown, and the whole entire like episode was the investigation of my mom. You know, and yeah, uh, so. But yeah, when I met Don Johnson after the show, we literally hanged out. Um, I think he got my mom a coffee, and he got me a freaking donut. I think it was at Dunkin' Donuts, actually. I think it was Dunkin'. And yeah, that was the first time I ever had Dunkin' Donuts, actually, was with Don Johnson. So, because yeah, but yeah, uh, and even Cheech was a good guy, and everything else, you know. Um, and you're gonna say, well, why didn't your mom do any more episodes of TV shows? Because my mom always felt like she was literally like a one and done kind of girl on those bigger TV shows, you know. Because she literally said, if my character gets killed off, why should I come back and be a different character all the time? You know, some people might literally see through the makeup and literally go, well, that's you, you know. so, um, so yeah, that's the reason why she never did like any other episodes like of the TV show. Like she was asked back. Don't get me wrong, she was asked back on both Walker Texas Ranger and Nash Bridges to do more episodes, and she turned them down. And yeah, but and that's the reason why like TV studios had a big problem with my mom in a way because they kept on trying to sign her to a contract in a way and a big deal, and she would turn them down like that, you know. So because my mom always used to literally tell me, it's about the character that you're playing. If your character gets killed off in a way, you shouldn't come back. It just doesn't make sense towards that person's character. So, yeah. But yeah, like I said, I know two Don Johnson, so I'm going to talk about the other Don Johnson. So the other Don Johnson was a pellet picker, in a way. If you don't know what pellet picker is, it's those wooden things. My dad used to do them quite a bit to make some money here and there for traveling. I will be getting into the road stories and talking a little bit more about it. But yeah, Don Johnson was literally just a drunken guy that technically my dad knew that did pallet picking with him back in the 90s from time to time to literally earn some extra money for traveling for the road. Um, but yeah. But yeah, that's the story about that Don Johnson. But like, even after I literally talked to him, like the show ended and my mom, me and Don Johnson still stayed in touch for a tiny bit. He literally gave me his phone number, and I used to have it. I used to have Don Johnson's phone number. He used to say, "Well, technically, if you're ever in trouble, just give me a call. I'll try to talk you through it, kid." So, yeah, I talked to him a couple times. I think it was right around 08 or 09. Right around that time is the last time I ever talked to Don Johnson. You know, on the phone, anyways. You know, and honestly, without Don Johnson, I probably wouldn't have been here today because he did talk me through a lot of stuff that was going on in my personal life. You know, like he told me to slow down on some of the freaking drugs that I was doing in a way. And Don Johnson was not a big person that literally liked drug users, anyways. But he literally said, "You know what? You were a good kid and everything else. And at the end of the day, I might be able to save your life. Just slow down, you know. Do a hit of freaking weed from time to time, but you don't need to do all the hardcore drugs that your dad's doing. Because I did tell him about my dad and everything else, even though Don Johnson never met my dad. He only met my mom. But I did tell him the situation, and he talked me down and everything else. And at the end of the day, you know, in my opinion, Don Johnson's a hero. You know, and at the end of the day, you know, he made bad choices in his life. I'm not going to lie and say that he didn't. But we're all human. We all made bad choices. You know. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole entire story about me meeting Don Johnson. Because technically, after the NBC show, I never really got to see him again. He was always on the run. He was always like, he went to Europe a couple times. He went to like other places. So I just never got to see him again. And it's kind of sad. I wish I could see him again. I'd love to literally hang out with him one more time. But, eh, if we don't, well, at least I got that one moment, you know. But yeah, I want to thank everyone for coming out. We had whoever liked and subscribed. I know that there's a few people that did. But yeah, but that is it for this 40th anniversary and Mr. Rock meet Don Johnson. Like I said, I'm going to go into more in-depth detail of literally the road stories and everything else, and then probably in the next couple weeks, in a way, I'm going to be doing Mr. Rock's road stories, and I'll go into more detail about how it really was being on the road with my dad and my mom. But I don't really want to literally give everything all at once if I'm going to be doing another video. So until then, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later, everyone.